The Surfing Violinist presents Paddle Resolution Year 2, Surf Vlog 49. So last year I made it a goal to paddle every day and see how many days of the year I could get paddling. I didn't make every day in January. I missed more than a week actually here and there. But in February I made every day and I was trying to go for distance. This year I decided to go for something a little different. I just wanted to touch saltwater every day, that being the goal. And whether or not I'm practicing for surfing on a surf or skimboard or a skateboard didn't really matter, as long as I'm touching saltwater at some point during the day. So some days I paddled, but the paddles weren't very long. It was just a matter of getting in the water. And then I added to the regimen this year, getting into the water during cold season without a wetsuit, which Warren did consistently, even during the cold snaps. On Thursdays, I joined Warren on his run and plunge, 1 mile run, and then come back and just get wet. Like literally just dunk your head underwater for a few seconds, stay in the water for a few minutes, depending on how cold it is. And even on the snow day, Warren did this. I think that day I just paddled with a wetsuit. But yeah, he actually got in the water on the snow day, but the next day was super cold. And we both did it. I've got to say, man, this has been a very good thing for me. It has helped me out a lot. So I made it touching salt water every day in January, feeling rejuvenated. So let's go back through the month. On January 1st, I did a paddle with Tate. Right before that, I decided to go get a skate in. And I was kind of in a hurry, so I didn't put on my pads. And wouldn't you know it, I got a little too high on my own supply. Got a little too cocky, and I skittered out, and I knew I was going down, so I went to my knees. And it was a clean slide, but I didn't have knee pads on. So kind of hurt my knees. Scraped a hole in my pants and scraped my knees at the same time. And Tate looked at that right when we were getting ready to paddle. He's like, man, you're not going to get rid of that scrape for weeks because you're having to put a wetsuit on. And sure enough, it took me a month pretty much to get those scrapes healed. It's so silly, but man, every time you put on a wetsuit, it just rips them right back off. It was really an annoying way to start the year for me. So wear your knee pads if you're a kook like me. And then on January 2nd, I started the tradition for Thursdays of joining Warren on his run and plunge. And we made it every day in January doing that. Well, no, I guess we didn't on the fourth Thursday of January. It looks like I was surfing that day. But it ended up being a good mix of just cardio and also just kind of clearing your head, getting out in the water. And I was telling Warren after this experience, because he does like a little meditation out there in the water and like some breathing exercises. And I was telling him, really, I feel like surfing has been that function for me. It usually happens with surfing. It usually takes about an hour and a half to like cool down and just zone out and stare out at the horizon. And then the kind of frustrations or worries or self-loathing evaporate. And so him doing that on the regular, because it's flat so often, I think is a great exercise, and I've been enjoying it. And then on January 5th and 6th, we actually got shortboardable surf. So let's take a look at that first session. And January 5th, started on the west side of county with Stalvey, and then went to the east side and got my first decent ride of 2025. So let's break it down. Style-wise, okay, my hands are looking okay. Like, not too bad. Setting up here, okay, we're in the right vicinity, and then my hands go all kook wobble all over the place, and there it is. And there it is. Rewind that, look at, this is what I'm trying to avoid when it comes to style and form. Since I started this vlog, that was the prime concern, is working on speed, power, flow, form, and style. And I think the speed, power, flow have improved. Like, I completed this maneuver through a little more spray, but I'm still doing this thing with my hand, this clench fist thing. And if you look at the rest of the clip, I'm doing it again. I'm doing that curved arm thing, the orangutan with rigor mortis deal. And then my right hand, you'll see it come up here at the end. So a lot of work to be done in 2025. Let that thing I'm doing curling over with my right hand there drives me nuts. It's a velociraptor hand. We're working on it in 2025. On Monday, January 6th, I had the day off. I started at the state park before the front came through and just tried to connect away from the outside, and they just weren't letting me have it. It was Victory at Sea. Went out with Rhett for a session east of County Pier, and it was unruly. I ate it a ton. There was a lot of double ups and weird facing waves, and there were opportunities, but I kept just blowing these floaters. I mean, that one, I'm surprised it hurt my ankle. And I had some setups, man, where I could have actually gotten to it. I blew that. I don't know what happened. I would have gotten a little cover up on that one. This was probably my favorite wave. You saw there's that left hand doing that annoying thing, but this was a fun wave. This one actually like pushed back against me. It was a pretty fun little one. And then I got a little bit of a pocket ride here. There were folks said I got tubed. It was not quite a tube. It was Rhett with the late takeoff of the day made that takeoff. But there were some fun waves there. It was hard to it was hard to navigate. Surf picked back up the next Friday and Saturday. So on Friday, January 10th, I went out at the state park, and it was another one of those Victory at Sea days. I was the only guy out when I first paddled out. And I had almost one of those embarrassing walk of shame moments where it was only waist high and I just got caught in some weird rip, and I did make it out, okay? I made it out. I caught this swing wide set kind of about the spot where the old November novelty wave had formed back in 2023, and if I'd have gotten this right, it would have been a killer floater, and I ate it hard. Actually hurt the GoPro being in my mouth. I don't know how Nate does it. Nate Florence and these big waves with GoPro in your mouth, dude. It's nuts. The next morning, there was still a wave, and I decided to make the drive over to Mexico Beach, and lo and behold, I bumped into Rhett Graham in the parking lot. We both felt good that there was someone else to paddle out into this ice cream headache with. There was already starting to be a lineup forming, but we walked down a bit, paddled out. That water felt like it had dropped 8 degrees in the night. It felt so much colder over there in Mexico Beach than it did at my paddle out just 16 hours before at the state park. And the state park's right next to the bay, so sometimes it'll feel colder than like the piers. But man, that Mexico Beach water, it was just brutal. That first drift was just pretty relentless. We didn't catch much, and we started finding some waves. Rhett got a little head dip pocket ride. I got one that actually opened up, and it was like literally like waist to rib, and then all of a sudden a set would come through and allow you to get a view, but I never really got the wave that let me come out. Nonetheless, we had quite a lineup form, and it was better than expected. When I first looked at it, I literally thought it was knee high. So it was a good Mexico Beach sesh, and we were cold, so we called it quits. That was the coldest I felt in quite a while. That was a cold one. So we came back, got some sustenance at Squared Grouper, and then we decided to give it another try. So we made it out to County Pier, and the water was beautiful. It still felt pretty cold, but it was such a pretty day at County Pier. It had dropped off quite a bit, but we ended up still having a pretty good session. So it was a good 1-2 punch for Friday and Saturday, or maybe just Saturday. It was a good 1-2 punch of sessions. Mexico Beach with the stormy, nasty looking water and, scary barrels for their size, and then the pristine beauty of the Emerald Coast. The very next day, Sunday, I guess January 12th, I was out at Treasure Island Condo, and I noticed these dudes standing on the beach kind of watching me. I just thought they were tourists. So I was like, give them something. It looked like they were taking pictures or something. I was like, it's so weird because it's super cold, nobody's around, and there's these two dudes on the beach. And so I found this one wave. I mean, waves weren't even breaking. It was flat. And this would let me connect it. And let me go all the way up onto the sand. And I hear this guy hooting for me. Well, it turns out it was Dave Wilson. Cracked me up, dude. Here with my cheering section on the beach here, like they cheered me into that wave.
Yeah, it's the Eddie, bro. He went all the way from the outside, bro, like that, to the beach.
So the next day, Dave told me that we're going to get a swell on that following Monday, and sure enough, it did fill in. It was a little bit of groundswell from some storm or something. It didn't really fill in the way that we'd hoped. Marcel came over from the east side. I went on the longboard. Me and him, we found some waves because we had the extra board. It was just kind of frustrating. It seemed like something was eclipsing the swell for us. We weren't quite getting the whole deal. To the west, it was much better size. But that didn't stop Warren from getting an alley-oop, and I got the footage of it. So, making it happen on the tiniest of days. On Saturday, January 18th, joined Brandon for a morning paddle, and it was just a mess. We were trying to find the outside working, or maybe that in between the outside and the inner break at State Park. And I think we both got one where it let us get a turn. I think his ended up being more wally. I think I remember seeing him get like an actual turn that connected. That session was kind of frustrating. It was just me, Brandon, and Phil. And then we came back that evening with Hal and Mike, and I think they went for the rocks. I'm not sure what happened. We all ended up having to leave at different times, so I'm not sure how the rocks was, but me and Brandon started the same spot, and I don't even know if it was any better. I ended up drifting a little bit further west where the overlook was, and it was a little punchier over there, and I ended up spending the rest of the time at that overlook spot. And a little lineup formed. I think we had Morgan and Zeke and Tate the Younger, and it was okay. I mean, it was not the best, but you know, you take what you can get. You learn something from every session. I mean, it is nice to have the GoPro to go back and look like, oh, I think I'm surfing a little bit better backside, and I look and see what my arms are doing. And I keep doing this with my right. You see what my right arm does there? So my back arm will come back and almost slaps the water. I've noticed I do this. It's almost like I feel like I know this was skateboarding. It's like I have to put an exclamation point on every attempted maneuver. It's like I land an ollie and I'm stomping. But yeah, there's just this little exclamation point, like you seemingly accomplish something and you just gesticulate wildly afterwards. Like, what am I doing with my left wrist there? Work to be done. On Sunday, January 19th, I look back. I was at Spyglass, and there was somebody on the beach. I thought it must be another tourist, but no, it was John doing the surf report. He saw me, I guess, running down to the beach. Just happened to be driving by, so went out and did an impromptu surf report with photos. Second time someone I've known has been on the beach. I am loving having the Surfline camera, though. It's been nice to have that, to be able to examine, you know, what you look like from the beach. That break is very inconsistent, but that particular week, it was actually forming kind of a little right mini point. Like, when I say point, I mean like one section, but still, it was like a little right on a day where it was normally closing out. And then we had the snow week, so Tuesday it snowed, Tuesday afternoon, evening, we went out in the water on Wednesday, and then we, after the snow week, we got some waves on January 31st, right in time for my birthday on February 1st, so it was nice to have some waves for the birthday. I'm doing this thing with these frontside floaters, man. I'm trying to break my ankles. I keep blowing it. I don't have no speed, and it just fall. But we went out for the morning session on January 31st, Friday, and came back that evening. Got a little session with Thomas Hodges and Les, and yeah, there it is. There's the same thing. Golly, I almost feel like I should be getting hurt on these. Les got the bomb wave of the day. I was about ready to give up, and I came in, and he was paddling out. So there were still some waves that kind of surprised in terms of size compared to what you were looking at from the beach. The form wasn't great, but it was nice just to have some waves to round out the month. In other news, surf, other than surf, skim and skate related. Skim wise, I was going out to County Pier one day. I think this was after the snow, and I was in full suit on my longboard, and Devin and Caleb Perkins were out there skinning it, and Caleb had been out there for a while. I mean, I think he'd been skimming for hours, so I skimmed with him for the first time in 2025, but being with them and them being skinning it, I thought maybe I should give it a try, and so one of these days I came up, and Devin and Lachlan were out there skinning it. So I've done it a couple times since then, and it's another great way to add to the cold plunge routine. In 2025, me and State are trying to get back into skateboarding a little bit more. We've been going up to our local park. We also took a trip over to Fort Walton, the Fort Walton Bowl. I haven't really skated it much since we got our own bowl. So going about there, it's a little gnarly. The concrete is just a little crazy, gritty, kind of hard to get speed. So it took us a while to get used to it. It was a very cold day. This was right before the snow. And so we were freezing. I had my coat on the whole time. I was quite encumbered and did not feel like I was getting the speed that I used to. I was getting to the point at that bowl before being able to hit coping backside in the deep end. I don't think I ever touched coping once. But I was finally able by the end of it to get tile. So that felt at least a little bit better. Front side. Like, my problem with this bowl was always scared of going front side in the deep end. For the carve, I finally did hit tile by the time we were leaving and was able to drop in again. The new line skate crew, the guys are building a new line skate park at Frank Brown Park. They've been coming and skating our bowl, and it's been really inspiring to see them just sending it, doing stuff we would never try, and taking lines that are unique. So we had a real nice get together, and Ken took pictures, and it was just cool getting inspired by those dudes. They're ripping. Unfortunately, Wooly Bully there, Eli, he ended up messing up his knee at Clint's ramp after this in February. So I'm hoping he'll have a speedy recovery. Dude rips, and it was really cool to be able to see him give us some new ideas. I never come up with that hip like the way he was doing there. We got Austin Blunt back in the bowl. We got a new setup. So we had a really fun night. That's Kai. That's First Try Kai, as Tay calls him, from the barista bar. And this is one of the scariest moments. Somebody threw their board in, and then he had to bail right over it. So all told, just a blast being able to have the skate sessions back. So 2025, good start. I've been able to keep it consistent every day, getting in the water and doing some form of board-related sport every day. So stoked on 2025, and here's to keep it consistent for the rest of the year. Godspeed. To see these videos early without ads, join the lineup here on YouTube. You just need a YouTube account, and for $1.99 a month, you click this little join button and sign up to get early and ad-free access to 4 monthly vlogs: the surf vlog, the violin vlog, the Masala vlog, and the family vlog. Thank you very much.